Well, this is such a treat. I have former member of parliament from Essex in Southern Ontario, none other than Jeff Watson. Several of our close friends will know you very well. Jeff, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule today.
It's exciting to be here. And Faytene, I remember the journey with For My Canada at its beginnings from back when I was on Parliament Hill. And it's amazing to see how you and your team have progressed through the years. I just honor you and a lot of the risks you've taken just to be involved in motivating and mobilizing people to take more responsibility for what happens in government. So we're just grateful for what you do.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And Canada's worth it. Our kids are worth it. You've got a
Mm.
lot of kids, more than me. And so, we're all, I know, looking towards that next generation and what is the
Yeah.
situation we're going to leave them in. These are some of the things that are our everyday heart Gatorade, right? So
Yeah.
you and I first met when you were elected as an official, a member of parliament right there in Ottawa.
Yep.
You were always so kind to us, but you've recently made a massive pivot, Jeff. You are running
Yeah.
for municipal office right
Yeah.
now in the current Alberta municipal election. Tell
Yeah.
us what that pivot was about for you, just in a couple words, and tell us why municipal government and municipal elections matter. A lot of times people naturally gravitate to paying attention to more the federal campaigns, maybe the provincial campaigns. Why does municipal politics matter today?
Sure. Briefly, though, so people understand how I got from Southern Ontario to Alberta. We moved here almost 10 years ago, and 1.2 million people have followed us since we made the move to Calgary. It's a great city, and it's incredible. And Calgary, like Canada, matters. And, the journey to municipal politics for the last decade, I've been out of elected politics and raising my family and working in the private sector, and more recently for a major NGO in the not-for-profit sector. But we became much more alert to what's happening at the municipal level. It's not entry-level government or politics. It's not sort of the junior A hockey or the junior B hockey of the NHL federal government. It has its own serious responsibilities, land use, the core services that you experience every day, whether somebody picks up your garbage or doesn't. And all of these things really matter in a very immediate way, and probably more so than they do at the federal government. And, what I witnessed over the last year is just an incredible amount of dysfunction at city council and city hall. City council is not working for the people the way it should. And, city hall is sort of running the agenda. None of them are accountable to anyone, including to city council. I think some of that's the lack of experience. We just have people who run for city council sometime who've never governed anything. And, we began to reach out about 4 months ago to talk to people and say, well, what do you think about somebody with my experience running? I felt like we could help solve some of the problems here. And of course, improve the quality. If we can improve the quality of government for people, we can improve what comes out of government for people at the end of it. And I think what we're hearing more than anything else here is that, they're facing affordability challenges, and the cost of government's one. Taxes here continue, property taxes go in one direction only, and that's up, up, up. And yet spending is unfocused. So people want some sense of bringing that responsibility around prioritizing how our tax dollars are spent and returning some a breathing room back to ratepayers here who are paying a pretty significant amount of taxes. And the other issue I think we hear more than anything is this repeal of blanket rezoning. About a year ago, you'll remember that the federal Liberal government was floating, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions over across the country, asking municipalities to change their zoning in exchange for dollars to have these overly dense forms of housing, dropped right down into the middle of neighborhoods. And, sometimes these types of housing, like row housing, 4 units up, 4 units down, fit in a neighborhood or certain parts of a neighborhood, but not others. And all of this removed the public hearing and council's control over where these projects go. And the public here spoke out largely. I think almost 70-80% were opposed at the time, and council did it anyway. And now they want it reversed. And this election very much is a bit of a referendum on on that really poor decision of council. So, for people who are out there, municipal politics matters very much. The issues that city councils touch on have immediate impacts, positive or negative, depending on how good your council is. But our voter turnouts are typically lower, 35%, 40% maybe, compared to a federal election that might be 65, 68%. And, we want to see that number get up a little bit higher. 50% would be really good. If we can even go north of that, it would be even better. We have to really take charge of what's happening in our cities.
Yeah, and let's face it, it's the municipal councils that really set the tone of a community, right? They really have such a massive impact on the culture, on the types of things that are promoted, the types of events, the things that are platformed at those events, the things that are funded. And so municipal government really matters, excuse me, for just our everyday life in the community. And for those of us that have families with small children, we see it, we feel it when we go to the community centers, when we go to the arenas. Whoever is in that municipal position really sets the flavor of the community on so many levels. And we could also weigh in and add school board trustees to that as well. So thank you so much, Jeff. And I want to also respond to what you said about this being a referendum. Is that not the beauty of democracy, right? That
Yes.
election time is when we can hold our leaders to account. And if the former mayor did a great job, hat tip to them, they'll probably get back in. And if there were things that went against the grain or the will of the people, like you illustrated there, then this is the moment of reckoning. So it is so important to pay attention and so important to get involved. And I love that goal of getting that 35% up to 50%. What that means practically, Jeff, is that in these municipal races, correct me if I'm wrong, it can be a couple hundred of people, excuse me, that could determine who wins and who loses. Is that correct?
Yeah, races themselves, in terms of the number of votes, can be very close, and so having thin margins, your vote will really matter. I would say, in terms of being involved in campaigns, a handful more volunteers or people who donate money to help scale campaigns up can make a difference between whether somebody's name has enough recognition before voters go to the ballot box, or whether they don't have it. And so your impact as a practical supporter of a campaign is amplified even more than it is for a provincial or a federal election.
Wonderful. Now, I'm going to ask you a personal question. Are there any issues or items that you would personally like to be an advocate for if you are elected for Ward 6 in Calgary?
Well, I'm running on what I call a 6 for 6 plan, and it's 6 priorities for Ward 6. And I'm a servant of the people. Those 6 priorities were drawn from conversations over the last 4 months to really hear the heart of where the people are at themselves and what it is they desire. What do they want differently from their councillor as well as city council, and what the outcomes are for the city. And I'm excited about that. I call it an action plan because that's where I'll start. And the key afterwards is just being able to stay in touch. Opening a ward office, I'd love to do that so that people have access to us, not just the special interests who have a lot of money and try to influence you with it, but the public. I really want to level the playing field for access for them and ensure that what I'm doing is really serving them. And that's where my heart comes from. It was there when I was a member of parliament. So I have the practical experience to know how to do this. But I'm running on Ward First as the foundational point of that 6 point action plan, and it really is about understanding where the heart and the dreams and the aspirations of residents in Ward 6 are at. Can I then make those the priority of a city government and city hall? And that is the stuff that really fuels me. And we've had amazing conversations at doorsteps and at community events, and people really open up when they know that you have their best interest at heart. And so maybe it's not about issue and it's more about style, but that's the kind of representative I was and I long to be for the residents here in Ward 6.
Well, that's beautiful and powerful. And is that not what a public servant should be?
Yes.
A
Yep.
person who puts the people first. So if people want to see your 6 points for Ward 6, where do they go? What's your current campaign website?
Visit jeffwatson.ca. You'll see the 6 for 6. For those who are interested in maybe financially supporting, they can hit the donate button, or they can drop us an email if they're interested in other practical ways to support, or even if they just have questions at info@jeffwatson.ca. We've made it really easy for people to loop in and communicate with us and stay connected to what we're doing.
Well, that's fantastic. And it is such a blessing to chat with you today, Jeff. We have so much respect for you. And if I could just say this from watching you over the years and how you functioned, even at Parliament over a decade ago, if there's anybody that will work hard, show up every single day, and do their best to truly bring positive influence to the table, it's going to be you. And I know, as I mentioned off the top, a big motivator for you is your family and is the future. So, any final words for folks that are watching this right now, Jeff?
Just get involved. This election, in particular, I think will really matter. Calgary to me is at a crossroads. Another term or two of the kind of drift that we've had could lead us into some deep structural problems in the city. And I think now is the time to strike and find that candidate you really want to get behind and do something incremental. It doesn't take a lot. Like if you were to knock a door, it's like 3 hours of your time once a week. And yet it helps the candidate reach more people, about 300-400 homes in that time period. And you do it in a team with a few others, it becomes a fun thing. So it's not difficult. You don't have to be a debater. You don't have to know all the issues. A well-trained volunteer will ask 3 simple questions and record the information, and your conversation lasts 2 to 3 minutes, and that's it. And you only talk to about 20 to 30% of the homes that are there. Divided by 4 people, that's 5% of the homes. Makes it super simple, but the amplification for a candidate to reach where candidate can't reach on their own makes a difference. You will be influential in determining the outcome of this municipal election. I guarantee it.
Powerful. You took the words right out of my mouth there. I actually wanted to let everybody know before we end this video that to make it super easy for you, just go to formycanada.com. We've actually put a form there where you can sign up to volunteer for, I'll put it this way, a faith, family, freedom candidate. Those are usually the folks that we have our eyes on, those that will stand for common sense, fiscal prudence, family values, the types of things that we're constantly advocating for on our show and through For My Canada. So go to formycanada.com. And I want to encourage you. I remember when I ran for office, the average sign costed, depending on how many we purchased, somewhere between $5 and $7. So those donations, that $20 donation, that $50 donation, that'll give Jeff probably 5 signs, and that could make a real difference. Secondly, I many of you know this. When I ran for office provincially, I lost by 224 votes, Jeff, out of 9,000 or almost 9,000 votes. Actually, I think it was about 8,300 votes. Excuse me, correction. And so those 224 votes could have been found by just one more volunteer, just one more person showing up, for a few times over a 1-month period. And I probably would have been over the line into victory. So getting out there, volunteering, I want to echo what Jeff said. It can be a lot of fun. You're building up new skills. It's not as scary as it seems. And also helping out in an urban area is a lot easier. In my situation, we were going from farm to farm, and it was taking a lot of time. But when you volunteer in a campaign like Jeff Watson's here, you're going to be able to get lots of experience within a 1 or 2 hour period. You can raise your personal experience equity so fast, and it can be so much fun and have such a great impact. So go to formycanada.com to sign up for that. And once again, Jeff, thank you so much for your time. Final word?
Just a thank you. I appreciate you, and keep up your good work, Faytene, and your network. I'm sure I join them in saying we appreciate what you do.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. And thanks for your time today. Cheers.